Today is April 27th in the year 2018. Tijan and his brothers is what we're looking at today. Derek Walcott is the author. I am Jamain Hatton. Tijan and his brothers is actually a play written and first performed in Little Carib Theatre, Port of Spain, Trinidad in the year 1958. This play is interesting because with this play, Tijan and his brothers, Derek Walcott actually won the Nobel Prize of Literature. So, what exactly is Tijan and his brothers about? Tijan and his brothers is actually based on the St. Lucian folklore. If we know, Derek Walcott is St. Lucian, but he spent most of his time in Trinidad, but he is St. Lucian. The play, the drama is based on the St. Lucian folklore of a man being in the moon. And the book, the prologue, starts by telling us that there's a man in the moon. And in the eyes of the firefly, it's telling us the story of how Tijan was able to get in the moon. And it deals with many things other than being literal. And we want to explore that here today. So, in the book Tijan and his brothers, we can appreciate that the devil, or the white devil, or the colonizer, or the planter, the white man, sends a message to a poor woman, a poor mother, and her three sons. The message or the challenge was anyone, any human, who could have made the devil feel anger, rage, or human weakness will be rewarded and will not be eaten. But if they fail to make the devil feel any human feeling, they will be killed or they will be eaten up, and they will be eaten in the order of their birth. So there were three boys. The boys were Grosjean or Grosjean, Mijan, and Tijan. So those were the orders of their birth. And like the book suggests, the name of the play is Tijan and his brothers, so it will suggest to us that the successful brother was the last one, Tijan, and then his not so successful brothers. Let's go on to look at specifics when it comes to the characters. Characters, three boys, Tijan, Mijan, Grosjean. Grosjean, the eldest brother, is one that's physically strong. He relies on his physical strength. So he is a slave, and we can understand that the slaves relied on their physical strength to get work done. As a result, in the book, he was exploited. So it just, students, do not take it as though this Grosjean or Grosjean just dies. It doesn't just say he died, it tells us that he was exploited because of his physical strength. So Grosjean really signifies or symbolizes all the slaves of the Caribbean that were exploited, that were used for their physical strength and died as a result of slavery. All right. So Mijan now, this is a very very big one. It tells us just how potent, if I may use that word, or how catastrophic the idea of slavery was. So, Mijan signifies the colonized subject. It tells us that the individual is educated by the pen pusher of the colonizer. So he was the pen pusher of the colonizer. So that means that he was educated by the colonizer to do what the colonizer wants him to do, by the white man to do the white man's job. So if we are to understand the character of Mijin or Mijan, we will understand that in the era of slavery, the persons who were educated with the knowledge that the white man wanted them to have. And with that knowledge, obviously, the white man would not teach them the things that they might needed to have to defeat to defeat the white man. So here, Mijan is that educated pen pusher, but he couldn't have possibly used the education that he so gained to overcome the white man. Then we have Tijan. Now, Tijan is the decolonized revolutionary. Let's take it that way. Is a decolonized revolutionary. This individual, the weakest of the three boys, the weakest of the three sons, he relies on not his strength, he had none, not his education, but he was very smart. But he relied on not just his own abilities, but the abilities of the people of the forest, the abilities of the creatures of the forest, that is, the prayers and the advice of his mother, the advice of the creatures of the forest. Now, the creatures of the forest should not be taken to mean literally frogs and insects of the forest, but it should be taken to mean that Tijan, the ones who are revolutionary when it comes, or the persons who were revolutionary when it comes to the aspect of slavery, were actually persons that were able to not only believe in their physical strength, but persons who were able to listen to advice of others, persons who were able to, under a unified front, show their disapproval or their rejection towards the white devil. If you understand what I'm saying there, let me rephrase it. I'm saying Tijan signifies a coming together of the Caribbean people, a coming together of a group of enslaved people to free themselves of a future. And Tijan, working together with the creatures of the forest, taking advice from people of the forest, is as though he's coming together with other enslaved people to achieve a common goal. And the common goal that they want to achieve is the life of the Bullum. And the life of the Bullum is very important here. It's the most symbolic. Because the life of the Bullum's life is taken to mean the future of the Caribbean people. A lot of talking there. I hope you understand what I'm talking about. Let's look at the mother. The mother is a normal character. She shows some amount of love. She shows dignity, wisdom, of course. She's quiet and she has faith. She has unwavering faith. She imagined all of her sons, one after the other, is going out, and she was still sending them. She sent one after the other, even though she knew that they were going to die. Even with the last one there, Tijan, she prayed, and she prayed, and she prayed. But I think she even thought he was going to die as well. But it shows us just how faith can move mountains, right? So we go on to talk about the fact that this mother here, she tells Grosjean that a grave is the strongest arm of all. And that's telling him that he should not just rely on his physical strength, because his physical strength will just give him a grave. And we see some other advices. She advised Tijan to listen to the creatures of the forest. And she warns him also that the devil comes in many, many uh, forms as Papa Boys. And he should be careful. He should be looking forward to the devil, and the devil might not be in the form that he wants the devil to be in, or easily identified. So she gives spiritual advice to her children, to her sons, and she said this one here. This is particularly one I like. You have told me yourself, our lives is not ours, that no one's life is theirs, husband or wife, father or son, that our life is God's own. I like that. It shows us that how faithful she was, how pious this mother was. With the devil, we see supernatural forces at work. It shows us that just when we might think we are pious and just when we think we are on the brink or on the verge of something good, there is going to be a supernatural force that prevents us or tries to prevent us from attaining a goal or a revolution. And this revolution was impacted by the devil. So Grosjean was killed, was eaten up. Mijan was also eaten up. So why, how important is this? It shows us that the white devil, the white man, was able to deceive, for want of a better word, deceive these two brothers into believing what he wanted them to believe. And they played the game he wanted them to play. And like Tijan later on said, who the devil tries to play fair weeps his own despair. So we can see why the brothers lost, because the brothers tried to play with the devil at his game. And if they're playing to get the devil's game and the devil makes the rules, obviously they're not going to win. So let's recap the person of the devil. The devil is the white man. The devil is the planter. The devil is the colonizer. And the devil is the one giving this poor family this ultimatum, this poor family challenge, and he really just wants to continue the aspect of slavery, continue the life of slavery. He's taking the lives, or he wanted to take the lives of these boys from a poor home, one after the other. And we can take it to mean that he's taking them out of their growing mother's house or their growing house, and he's putting them into working for him as a slave. And it was Tijan, the youngest brother, who was able to free not only himself, but to free the entire Caribbean from this slavery. And as a result, Tijan was the man in the moon. And he's the man in the moon because he was able to give life to the Bullum. And the Bullum is very important. The Bullum signifies the individual who was denied life. Now let's look at the Bullum. The Bullum is one who works for the devil, right? It's a fetus, yes, but it has been the first child. It was the first child that was stolen before birth. Now think about it. During the aspect of slavery, why might the first child be stolen before birth? Think about a black woman, a slave, uh, getting pregnant, and just before she is given or she gives birth, the life is stolen from her. Why might you think so? Yes, because black women were often raped during slavery, and they were raped by the white man. And the white man would not want that half white, half black child running around. So what happens? What happened? Most times the women were forced to have an abortion, or the baby was beaten out of their stomachs, and as a result, the Bullum the Bullum here represent that unborn child. All right. So Tijan asked Tijan asked the Bullum. Let me see what I'm looking for here. Tijan asked the Bullum if it was life he wanted, and he asked him, let me show you. So Tijan affectionately asks, is life you want, child? You don't see what it bring? And he says, the Bullum which works for the devil is a fetus for the first unborn child. Interesting. You might find this as very repetitive, but I want you to understand what the book is telling us, what the drama is telling us. So we're going to look again at Gross Jean's death, as well as Me Jean's death, and it will tell us what we want to know. So Gross Jean, the physically strong slave, died. He died because he relied on only his physical strength. He was cocky, he was arrogant, he thought that his physical strength was enough to defeat the devil. And of course, he was denied education. And as a result, he was exploited. So he just didn't die, but it's more than just death. It's as if his physical strength was all that he had, and as a result, he was exploited, he was used for just that physical strength he had. Mijan. So Mijan is the one that was educated by the white man to do the white man's job. And Mijan, in the idea of a slave, was the pen pusher. And so this Mijan, even though he was educated, we see that he can talk sophisticatedly. He spoke with such big words. He made a big deal when he spoke. But we see that even though he was educated, and even though he somewhat appeared to be a fisherman, he couldn't catch fish to feed his family. And if he can't catch fish to feed his family, it means that he failed with his education because education didn't teach him how to sustain himself. And of course, if the white man taught, and if the white man teaches, then the white man would not tell him what he needs to know in terms of sustaining himself. But of course, it will always depend again on the white man providing food, the white man providing life for the black man. So if Mijan rather failed, Mijan's death didn't only signify the dying of a character, but Mijan's death signify the the passive nature of those that were educated by the white man. Good. So some symbols at the start of the drama, we saw rain, and rain is telling us that it was the tears of the oppressed. So the constant rain tells us that people of the Caribbean desperately were in need of freedom. They desperately were in hope, or they desperately longed for someone to help them get out of that oppressive nature, that nature of them being subjected to cruelty by the white man, the white planter, the devil. Uh, so Grosjean again signify a nation of men who possess physical strength, but of course they are not able to become victors, but they're just victims. So the moon signifies the hope of colonization ending. And this is why Tijan was in the moon, because Tijan was the person who was able to realize the hope of the ending of colonization. The Bullum signifies or symbolizes the oppressed Caribbean nation in terms of Caribbean countries, all of them. So when the Bullum was given life as a result of Tijan winning against the devil, the Caribbean nation was liberated out of slavery. And the devil, of course, is a white man. And this comes together because of slavery. So the white man, the devil, brought about this oppressive nature of the Caribbean people. And it was Tijan that had to liberate the Caribbean nation and free the Bullen. That is all the time we have here for Tijan and His Brothers by Derek Walcott. I'm Jamain Hatton. Let me know what your questions are. Put those questions in the comment section. I'm sorry for being so repetitive, but I had to get the point over of Tijan and His Brothers. Goodbye.